as the info war rages on, my personal war with websites like Politifact continues to rage on as well. Today I bring before you Pennsylvania and Michigan didn't allow poll voters and or observers to watch or observe. And it's got the pants on fire rating, a clear, pretty much the blue check mark of Politifact. It says here, President Donald Trump wrongly claimed that Republican election observers have been barred from watching ballot counts in Pennsylvania and Michigan, repeating a falsehood that has been contradicted by his own campaign lawyers in court hearings and lawsuits. Nobody wants to report that Pennsylvania and Michigan didn't allow our poll watchers and or vote observers to watch or observe, Trump wrote in a November 11th tweet tag, as disputed by Twitter. So weird, the fact-checking everywhere. Everyone's fact-checking each other. This is responsible for hundreds of thousands of votes that should not be allowed to count. Therefore, I easily win both states, is Donald's statement here. So, I think that the statement that people are being barred from being able to view was pretty interesting, so I started doing a little research like usual. And this was the picture I found, and it really is essentially the epitome of this claim. Man, which I don't even understand how they could say it's wrong. Look at the stare in this lady's eyes. You know she was wronged. She's not there. Like this, so they claim, here I'll read this. Right-wing media outlets which have parroted President Donald Trump's dangerous rhetoric aimed at undermining the integrity of the U.S. election. Yes, he's undermining it. Donald Trump is, not this guy. And what's interesting enough about this is it says, windows being covered outside of the room where absentee ballots are being counted at TCF Center in Detroit. As you can see, these people do not seem like just some normal passerbys trying to see what is going on. This lady literally is showing her piece of paper, like she's got a folder and everything. She came in there prepared to do some ballot watching, but instead, in the absentee ballot room specifically, the windows were just poster boarded up. You know, no big deal. It's just usual election stuff, trying to hide what you're counting back there. Usual stuff. So that pretty much disproved their claim right there. I don't get how. But the other part as well. So they claim that election observers were also barred from being able to see. And I believe that this is what he's talking about specifically. So in Pennsylvania, I believe this is where this is. I just pulled up this video. And you can see this is where everyone's counting the ballots. I thought this was pretty interesting. I skip on ahead here, and I believe these are the observers. They cropped it out right here so you can't see, but boom, there's the observers. There you go. You guys doing some observing over there? See, I think that's even, you see the guy with his one of the Washington Inquirer's news reporters even took a picture of a guy sitting there with binoculars, looking, trying to see. It's like, yes, this is a false claim. Literally two of their own media conglomerate type of deals showing exactly the claim is real. That's why I cannot stand this stuff. It says here, election observers representing the Republican Party and the Trump campaign have been allowed to observe the ballot counting process alongside Democratic observers in both Pennsylvania and Michigan, despite the presidency's repeated claims to the contrary. A Trump campaign attorney conceded in court that the campaign had a non-zero number of election observers in Philadelphia. Another federal lawsuit the campaign filed in Michigan includes hundreds of pages of affidavits from people who served as election observers. There also remains no evidence of widespread voter fraud that would invalidate hundreds of thousands of votes in those states. Independent decision desks for multiple news organizations have called the election for President-elect Joe Biden, who leads Trump by about 52,000 votes in Pennsylvania and 146,000 votes in Michigan, which I don't see what that has anything to do with what they're claiming whatsoever. I've pretty much even disproven what they were saying already. You think that this is a fair way to process the ballots? I was watching a CNN news article where they were claiming like there's a super in-depth process and it shows like the ballots sliding down a little assembly line and like going through all these machines, super technical stuff, but then you end up with stuff like this where it's just like, what? He's probably breaking that box open by himself, literally unsealing them and just counting them. President Trump's claim about lack of observers have been tested and continue to be tested in court, said Rick Hasen, a professor of law at the University of California, Irvine. Importantly, there has been no proof of illegal votes in the election, and no pathway to go from complaints about inadequate access to overturning the results of the election. And I believe that that is a falsehood that is a falsehood in and of itself. I love that they claim there is no pathway here for Trump to win, as if there's nothing going on. There's no states being sued, there's no recounts happening. They just kind of brush it off as if it's sort of just this fairy tale happy land where we got old Uncle Joe in the office. He's doing a good job up there. They all just live in this fantasy land world where none of it matters. As long as they feel they're on the right side, it doesn't matter what you throw in front of them. Politifact has debunked false claims that GOP observers were denied access in Philadelphia and Detroit. Other fact checkers who have looked at those sites and their surrounding states have also documented that observers were allowed. The fact checking circle, baby, it keeps on going. It just gets bigger and bigger every day, a bigger group. Litigation continues in both states as Trump refuses to concede defeat. I wonder why that would be. Probably because this lady actually marched up to Trump's desk and he was like, "All right, you got me. I'll keep going." Oh, here we go. I didn't even see this part. Republican observers were never blocked from observing entirely, despite Trump's claim. Literally, Giuliani's statement said that the problem was they had the observers sitting so far back, a guy had to use binoculars to see. And another guy putting up the window cover. It's like, come on. I want to know, did he actually buy that specifically for that, or was that just sitting around the office? I don't know. But it says, under questioning from a federal judge in court, a Trump campaign attorney conceded that the campaign had several representatives monitoring the ballot counting. Several. I would assume you would need more than several. What is that, 3? What, are they just making the laps? They got some marathon runners as their ballot observers. They're just running around back and forth looking at all of them. And I believe that the judge even came to a conclusion too that 60 Republican-sided observers and Democratic observers needed to be allowed in. So even then, I still think that that's a false claim. I love that this, of all things, was a pants on fire. You know, red alert. Watch out, dangerous stuff, dangerous information he's peddling here. Not at all dangerous like hiding the election. That's not dangerous at all. People do that. And here we go with Michigan. Trump's tweet is also inaccurate as it relates to Michigan. Absentee ballot counting was observed by hundreds of Republicans and Democrats, the Michigan Department of State said. Not a good person at all. Some confusion over the access afforded to election observers in Detroit can be traced to a chaotic event on November 4th, when the convention hall used for canvassing reached the state's legal limit for election observers and officials and had to stop additional observers from entering. I wonder how many of those observers that were allowed were Democratic or something, and which ones were Republican. Michigan allows election observers called challengers appointed by political parties and interest groups, as well as poll watchers to observe the election. Oh, except for where they count the absentee ballots. Those ones aren't as important. They're just the absentee ones that actually won Biden the race so far. So they're not as important. Our ruling? Trump claimed that Pennsylvania and Michigan didn't allow it. Yeah, we get it. That's inaccurate. No, that's not a pants on fire. You're a pants on fire. And that's why Politifact needs taken down. So if you want to join me on that journey, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.